is a crisis, a humanitarian crisis going on in the United States. Actually, there are many of them, actually. But this is one in particular I wanted to highlight today. Rinku Sen is with us. Rinku Sen is the executive director of the Applied Research Center, ARC.org, and publisher of colorlines.com. Rinku Sen, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Tom. Really glad to join you.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I understand there are 5,100 children currently living in foster care and in the United States who are prevented from being united with their families. My wife Louise and I, for 5 years, ran a facility for severely abused and damaged kids years ago. And these were the kids who couldn't make it in foster care, but we saw there's some very good people in the foster care system, but there's also some real horrors. And the most horrible thing is children being separated from their parents. There's almost nothing worse. And there's 5,100 kids who have been torn apart from their families. If nothing changes over the next 5 years, 15,000 children will face this fate for one particular bizarre reason. Can you tell us about that?
Right. The reason is that their parents are caught up in immigration detention or have been deported. What we found is that normally in a child welfare situation, if a kid enters the system, the child welfare department has the goal of reuniting that child with his or her family because we know that's generally the best place for kids. So the child welfare department will make what's known as a case plan, a plan of activities that the parent has to carry out. It might include showing up for family court hearings and visiting with the kids and taking parenting classes, a whole range of things.
Right. Sometimes going through AA or something, whatever.
That's right, that are designed to help the family deal with whatever issues it might have so that the kids can eventually be reunited. Now, when a parent is in detention, as in immigrant detention, the child welfare department cannot involve the family fully in making a plan for reunification. The parent cannot get to family court hearings. Often the social workers can't find them, don't have any idea where they are. If the parent gets deported, they don't realize that the deportation has happened. And because the parent can't do any of the things that might be in the plan of activities, they end up not being able to get their kids back. Now, there's a clock that starts ticking as soon as a child enters the child welfare system that is designed to not keep the kid in the system for too long, for longer than is necessary.
Right.
And so federal law requires states to move toward what's called termination of parental rights if the parent has been out of touch for 15 out of 22 consecutive months.
Right, and the goal for this is so that kids don't get caught in the system and they are available for adoption.
That's right, exactly.
Pardon my interrupting you, but just
no worries.
Keep on going.
So the problem is that being in that ICE detention and deportation obstructs that critical line of communication between the child welfare department and the family that has to be kept open. That line of communication has to be kept open if there's any hope for reunification.
Yeah, and this is such a mess. I just, a personal story. The daughter of one of my cousins married a man who is an illegal immigrant and from Mexico, and they have a child who is an American citizen. And she had to move with him and their child to Mexico to avoid this very situation from happening. I mean, this is like really getting close to home. And I think it's really getting close to home for a lot of Americans. And it's a disaster. I mean, we've got a humanitarian disaster, and now it is, and the outcome for kids who are put into foster care. Not because foster parents are ogres, but because this is like one of the most emotionally violent things that can happen to a child is to be separated from their parents.
That's right.
And it is a wounding that very often lasts a lifetime. In fact, it very often can be multi-generational. It's a wounding that can cause them to parent in ways that they wound their own children. And this is being inflicted on these children by us. By our state, in our name, because we have a dysfunctional and broken system for dealing with quote, illegal immigration in the United States. What can we do about this? What is being done about this?
Well, I think Americans make the best collective decisions when we know exactly what all the consequences are of the policies that we support or don't support. And this is a hidden consequence of our immigration system and also of the ways in which our child welfare systems work that really we need to take a very hard look at. And it should raise questions for us certainly about the way in which we detain immigrants who are unauthorized and around the speed with which we do a deportation. One of the solutions that needs to be implemented really immediately is simply for ICE to implement detention and deportation in a different way. There are alternatives to detention. People who are trying to get their kids out of a child welfare system are not a very heavy flight risk, so it should be very possible to have folks out in the world while their immigration cases are in process. And we need to stop the clocks, both the clock on the child welfare side that moves toward the termination of parental rights, and also the clock on the immigration side so that deportation, if that is in fact what the system decides must happen with this family, at least the deportation can be timed in such a way that the family's situation can be resolved first.
Right.
Those are the immediate things that should
And the
happen.
entire family can go intact.
That's right. If a deportation needs to happen, then at least the family will be together or able to make decisions together in concert with the child welfare department.
But because these kids are U.S. citizens in many cases, and their parents, their undocumented parents, or their parents who are not U.S. citizens, or one of their parents who are not, as the case may be, are not. It's like there's two different sets of rules coming into play, and they're at conflict with each other. Do I have that right? We're basically, the quote illegal workers are detained and then deported, and we're keeping their kids and putting them in foster care?
Right. That is essentially what is happening, and it's because child welfare departments are under pressure to resolve a child's situation as quickly as possible, either
Right.
to reunify or to move the child into some kind of permanent family situation. Now, ICE, on the other hand, is under pressure to deport large numbers of people. We are deporting at historic rates. In 6 months of last year, we deported 46,000 parents. And so some of those parents are going to have U.S. citizen kids, and they're going to have, all of their kids are not necessarily U.S. citizens, but a great, great portion are. And it's the clash between those two timelines that really leaves many, many families stranded.
Are there any, your organization's, the Applied Research Center, ARC.org, just came out with this extraordinary study on this, and colorlines.com, your publication, but is anybody in the political world trying to do anything about this?
Yes.
We have just a minute left, by the way.
Yes. Representatives Franken and Woolsey have introduced a bill that would protect the U.S. citizen children of immigrants who are being deported from being separated. It would restore discretion to immigration judges and to immigration administrators, ICE agents,
Right.
to make decisions taking the family situation into account. So there are some members of Congress on top of this, but there's also action that needs to be taken at the state level. The child welfare departments across the country have all different sets of rules. The policies are all over the map.
They need to organize their rules and get it together. Rinku Sen, we're out of time, but the ARC.org for more information and colorlines.com. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Tom.